want to talk about Saturday with Georgia and Texas, though, and I want to talk about the quarterbacks with Gunner and Arch. I want to take you guys back to the summer because I distinctly remember a day on this show where I couldn't believe, like, the amount of Arch Manning glaze was just out of control. Like, it kept building and building and building. And I remember one day saying, well, if Arch is getting this much in the way of hype, shouldn't Gunner, Stockton be getting hype? Because hype doesn't mean you're good. Hype just means there's a lot of attention. Arch had barely played. We had seen Gunner play half of the SEC championship game, and then his first start happened in the Sugar Bowl. And I said, I know why Gunner's not getting it. I know why Arch is. Here's Paul Feinbaum. This was over the summer when Paul was building up the hype on Arch Manning and ignoring Gunner Stockton. Well, he came back around this week and admitted where he was wrong.
And as far as Arch Manning, I had him winning the Heisman, and I had Gunner Stockton selling insurance somewhere in Conyers, Georgia, with Mike Bobo. So I think I've got a lot to answer for. But Gunner Stockton has been an absolute star. We saw that going back to Knoxville in the Tennessee game, where I felt like he came of age, and he's done it so many times. And Mike Bobo, for all the criticism on the Feinbaum show, has dialed up some really unique and creative plays this year.
That was Paul on the Mike the Mad Dog podcast, by the way, just so I give proper credit. What Paul just said is the right thing to say, but you guys know what's going to happen Saturday, right? This will all be about Arch. Good, bad, or ugly, this will be about Arch, and it shouldn't be the case. There's nobody in America right now that should say, I'll take Arch Manning over Gunner Stockton. Not talking about NFL futures, not talking about big picture. If I said Saturday night, do you want Gunner or do you want Arch to win this game, there should not be one well-informed college football fan that would ever pick Arch Manning over Gunner Stockton. But watch the attention, starting with game day through kickoff, making it all once again about Arch.
I saw him at media days, and I was on the fence. I didn't know what to do. And I saw him at media days. I was like, it's going to work. My gosh, look at him. I don't know if Mike Bobo has gotten better. I think maybe what's happened is he's found a couple of guys who can really execute the screen pass. So that's part of, like, oh, Mike Bobo, he's calling a great game. No, I think they may have found some guys who are really good at what he likes to call. So that's a little bit different than Bobo, turned a new leaf. I've said this before, and I think both can be true. Kirby could have hired someone that literally, if he was out of work, not one other team in America would have hired as play caller. A lower-level program may have wanted him as head coach. You know the scenarios there. What's also true is that Kirby may have found the right guy for that program right now. Coming off of Todd Monken, I'm not going to say everybody would look bad. Everybody would look less active, less imaginative, less creative. Todd Monken's one of the best play callers in college football over the last 15 years probably. And Mike Bobo is not that. But his strengths are maybe stability and consistency and traditional, all that stuff that we know. And when you have Zachariah Branch executing it, guess what? It's Jimmy's and Joe's. So it's working right now.
It is, and it's working with Gunner. So I'm going to give you some numbers. And I told you the Arch hype is building back up. And here's why. When all these people made predictions early on Arch, it's hard to admit you're wrong when you're doing this for a living. So you could say it took longer than I thought, but it's coming around. Here's Arch Manning over the last 4 weeks. He's averaging 243 yards passing. He's got 7 touchdowns and a pick. He's rushed for 43 yards and a touchdown. Good numbers. Here's Gunner over the last 4 weeks. He's averaged 248 yards passing, 9 touchdowns and a pick, 127 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns. Arch has been much better over the last 4 weeks. Gunner's been better. Gunner's been better for the entire year. Gunner might be on the outskirts of the Heisman talk, but the hype and the attention Saturday will be Arch. It's another chance for Gunner on that stage in that kind of huge environment to put up a big number in a big game. When Arch gets all the eyes on him, that Gunner performs and outperforms Arch, which I think will happen again.
And with Arch as well, like, he's all of a sudden burst through. Texas was the first team to make the Vanderbilt defense kind of look normal and susceptible. So that was interesting. And they may have finally broken through. And so I think that's a lot of the excitement is that Arch, everything we said, we're going to be right, and now it's just going to happen in November instead of all 3 months. I don't know. In Athens is not really the scenario for me to continue this magical season that, the past 3 or 4 games for Arch has been.